age again.
Oh man, so times
Hey
have changed,
everyone,
and you.
times have changed, politics has changed, but there are doesn't change. That is Liverpool bottling lead. Why do I hear my own echo?
Times have changed, situations have changed, but Kriska still hasn't changed his Wi-Fi, and we all are here in 2024, still suffering the same predicament. And here we have with us Aravind and Charlie, fellow Liverpool fans, in an all too familiar territory from the past several years, where they have done incredibly well throughout the season, only to falter ever so slightly at the final laps, and that usually is enough to let the boys in Manchester Blue take the lead. So I'll leave it to Charlie first. How do you feel about it before we go into the match coverage? Please echo your sentiments tonight.
Yeah, thank you for the intro, Svias. So I am, to be honest, totally devastated. So when the players have had to step up, the two after a devastating 3-0 defeat in a crucial Europa League game against Atlanta,
Yeah.
the when the players had to step up and there is a title to win, you don't take things for granted here. So I'm just referencing two players here, just to mention because they are at the top of my head since I saw the
Endo.
match. Just not Endo, but Salah and Jones. To highlight Salah, to be honest, in the 18-19 title race, Salah would have, I think he would have come off the African Cup of Nations and he would have bottled and like ghosted like 7 to 8 games, and Sadio Mane would have carried the entire Liverpool team, and Firmino would have supplied. The typical case would have emerged in 21-22 title race when we lost again by 1 point, and Salah would have ghosted the entire period after March or April or so, that period of 7-8 games. And it's this classic case also this season where he has totally bottled and he hasn't supplied anything or even contributed big chances, and he has missed several big chances.
Yeah.
To be honest, there were 20 big chances today, 21 big chances created today, and we literally hit 0 goals. So that summarizes our devastating game tonight. And Curtis Jones, what was the performance? I literally don't know how to summarize his game. He had like he should have hit a hat trick today, to be honest, by the chances he created and the goals that hit off his foot. Um, I don't have literally any other words. Arvind, carry on.
What to say? As you said, that there was someone to carry Salah during the 18-19 season and the 21-22 season. And also not to forget the 19-20 season where we won the league. We have one person who can actually help Salah out, but that guy has been injured for a considerable period of time. That is Diogo Jota. The other three, in terms of Nunes, that guy is so on and off. Sometimes he's amazing, an incredible striker, does things right, finishes, scores goals. But then sometimes it's the elementary mistakes he makes in finishing, clear-cut chances, or else you have Diaz who will dribble, do everything under the moon, under the sun, but then the final touch goes lacking. For example, the Man City game. Dribbling, excellent. Ball carrying, amazing. The speed with which he took on Walker and Rodri, fantastic. But then we had two chances where we could
Missed
have
both.
put the game to bed. 3-1. Missed both. Gakpo, I'm still defensive on Gakpo because that guy, he's basically a left winger. He should be given a run of games in left wing, considering the fact that Diaz has not been performing that well. We saw during the Atlanta game that he was our best performer during the first half. And I really don't understand what's it with the management chopping and changing his position. Some days he's a right-sided midfielder, some days he's a centre forward, some days he's left wing, some days he's a left midfielder. So that's what bothers me about a player like Cody Gakpo. Not
Well,
gonna lie, Cody Gakpo is one of the most intelligent players in the Liverpool squad. When you compare it with players like Nunes, Diaz, but then, yeah, it's that inability to get that constant run of games in one fixed position that's hindering him, and which has ultimately hindered the team as a whole. So, yeah.
Arvind, just to grab a chance here, I'm so frustrated on Darwin Nunes, to be honest. I know he has given us moments for a couple of seasons or like 5 years down the line for us to remember, and he has hit some very crucial goals. For example, the Newcastle goal and stuff. But I think Darwin Núñez literally has an IQ of a goldfish. To be honest, the guy like
Uh,
the guy doesn't know literally how to convert chances, and we have given him literally 2 full seasons to prove himself. The fans literally know he isn't our next Fernando Torres or Luis Suarez, but I don't think what he's trying to become in our team. That's what I'm very confused
Charlie,
about.
there's this mutual friend of mine and Arvind who, when
Yeah,
Darwin Nunes joined Liverpool in the initial days, made an
yeah,
analogy which still makes sense to me. He told us that Darwin Nunes is like your typical anime shogun anime protagonist who has a certain level of skill set, but then is usually not exactly what you would say conventionally intelligent. But then
yeah,
there is passion, there is hard work, and they will keep
yeah,
trying the same thing over and over and over again. They will fail over and over and over again till eventually it succeeds, and then those moments are bang worthy. It's just out there under the limelight because there was also the first or second match for Nunes in Liverpool jersey where he was getting crosses from the right wing and he tried the backflip, the flip with the back heel
yeah,
into the post. He missed it twice in the same match. He
yes,
had the audacity to try it again a third time in the same match, and it came off, and it made for a beautiful goal. But now
yes,
the problem is at this level when you're playing, when you are at the fag end of the season, the business end of the season, where the title is on the line, you do not actually get those many chances to try and fail. So he has the passion, he has the ability, but this is not exactly the time where he can be himself, trying new things, failing new things, and eventually succeeding. No, this is cutthroat business right now, and
yeah.
he had to succeed. Now, you guys already covered the players who did well and who did not. I just want to bring in a couple kind of arbitrary things about what I felt when matching the Liverpool game. So first of all, Liverpool came off the back of a defeat, an unexpected defeat. Although Atlanta are a supremely good team, and I wouldn't say it was a very big upset. It was expected that Liverpool would at least draw or edge out a victory, but they lost. And then coming into factoring in all the other things, Klopp's farewell and the title race being so close, I felt Anfield was already a little bit tense before the game starts. And Aston Villa, Crystal Palace also have a history of being a thorn in the Liverpool sides towards the end of the season. Then Crystal Palace scores a goal, and suddenly one of the most voracious crowds anywhere in England, they go all silent, and there was a gloom that I felt was slowly setting into the crowd, even though I was watching on TV. And then suddenly there was this moment that was all too familiar, that has gone on reels over and over again for the last decade, of the infamous Steven Gerrard slip, where he slipped and Dembaba took advantage of it to put Liverpool's long wait for a title over. Van Dijk slipped, uh, but Crystal Palace failed to score by mere inches because of Andy Robertson's hustle. But even though they managed to prevent the goal, that seemed to kind of jitter all the players and the fans on the pitch. And from then on, Liverpool were, although they were playing well, they were making casual mistakes. Some passes were being misplaced. Some players were rushing in. So Liverpool, they have that attitude of pushing in harder when the going gets tough. But when they were individually doing it, they were pushing too hard, and they were sometimes missing the basics. There were instances where some players froze when they actually had to take a shot. Then, like you mentioned, there was the case of Jones not really putting the game to bed when he should have. So, do you think the mental factor of the pressure of the title race, of Klopp leaving, and the pressure of having to bid farewell to one of your most successful managers with title win, all of that affecting the crowd and all of that combining together to not work in Liverpool's favor because it looked gloomy?
Arvind, can you take it, or can I take it?
Yeah, sure. So, yes, partly we all know that Liverpool are a club that is high on emotions. So sometimes this emotional aspect of our club can work in our favor, and sometimes it works against our favor. And today it was the latter, sadly. So we saw during the season that in October, November, and December, Liverpool were basically playing with a freedom. They were playing like, okay, we concede initially, we'll still make a comeback. There was no tension or there was no pressure with Liverpool.
Exactly.
But since that announcement on Jan 26 that Klopp is going to leave, there's an added pressure on the players that they have to make this
Count.
this count, and Klopp has to be sent out on the best of terms. So yeah, I think because of this, we played into United's hands first. Number one, in the FA Cup, we could have just taken the penalty shootout, and in penalties, it's always a 50-50. And this is where our immaturity came into play. We committed too many men forward, and then boom, United go and score on the counter, 4-3, one trophy down. Secondly, against Man United at Old Trafford, everything was fine. The amount of chances we were creating was enough. I'd say more than enough to easily secure 3 points. But then we started overthinking, and then boom, it was and one mistake by Jarrell Kwanzaa, who's been tremendous this season, given the
Yeah.
fact that it's his debut season. It was punished by a player like Bruno, who we know that if you give him one chance, he will score. Then the second goal by Menu was fantastic. There was no answer to that. So this is where, in key moments where Liverpool have to take charge and be in the driving positions, we are chasing. Although we got the 2-2, but I think those 7 or 8 minutes to get that winner was less, given the fact that we weren't clinical enough from the starting. So basically, if you're not able to convert your chances in the first 80 to 85 minutes, and then you're trailing the game, what guarantee do you have that you're going to score 2 goals or 3 goals in the last few minutes and then salvage 3 points from the situation where you could have got nothing? So this is one aspect of Liverpool's play which I've been very upset with this season. Similarly, for the Arsenal game, that 4 versus at Anfield, the 4v1 counter attack, which Trent smacked against the post. That is one incident where we could have taken charge and then ultimately beat Arsenal 2-1 or 3-1 at home. Barring the Odegaard handball, which was blatant, and I won't go into those specifics because there have been instances where we are responsible for not getting 3 points, and we've ended up getting one instead of getting all those points, and thereby building a lead that will last till the end of the season. So yeah, I'm pretty like a bit. I'm a bit upset that this thing this has unraveled, and the chances which we missed in the initial part of the season is coming to bite back. So yeah.
I think all of this started with the FA Cup game. Like after FA Cup game, it has been all downhill for Liverpool, and United won that game and has continued playing like just the way they have played all season. So that FA Cup game was more like just one odd game out where United actually took the game to Liverpool. Even the PL game, the first half was so bad for United that I was surprised it like I just wanted the half to end as soon as possible. And I was surprised I was even laughing that it was just 1-0 because I knew for a fact we could easily walk out with a draw. Like we could just get one penalty or like just one like screamer from anyone and it should be fine. And I was surprised that Liverpool was so bad that game in finishing the chances that they created because we saw how open United is when it comes to playing through the midfield. Like anyone can just walk through the midfield and then just boom, you have the goal right in front of you. And Salah, of all the people, has been so wasteful. I genuinely feel Salah has been rushed back, if I'm not mistaken, from his like after his injury period, which I think has kind of brought him down, or I don't see the same burst of energy or the pace that he generally brings in, and he's quite indecisive right now, which is not what Salah is. Like I have always seen Salah to be like a killer in front of goal. Like you don't see a right winger with that much precision in front of the goal. And ever since he has returned from injury, I don't think he has that same clinical attribute in front of goal anymore. And I'm actually thinking now to remove him from my FPL as well because it's just a waste of my money on my FPL right now.
So yeah, VS. So adding to Aravind and Casimiro's opinions, so I loved how Aravind explained our inefficiencies on the pitch, but I'd like
Yeah.
to see this as a two-part thing. Okay, one is the thing that Klopp is leaving all the sentimentality stuff and all the stuff that's going on in the back office, backroom stuff, but on the pitch there's a title race going on. Okay, Forget that Klopp is leaving, forget that Linders is leaving, forget all that shit. But on the pitch, there's a title race. But here's the catch here. Whenever there's a title race in the last, say, 8 to 10 game weeks of a title winning season, there used to be a poacher on the pitch upon which the game is interested upon. Say like Salah is like Eden Hazard. Okay, there used to be times when Hazard used to bang at least 2 goals against Brighton until he left the Premier League. The last 2 to 3 seasons Hazard spent in the Premier League, he hit like 7 to 8 goals against Brighton alone in the Premier League. And Brighton always used to come in the Chelsea's Brighton always used to come in the latter half of the Premier League and give Chelsea the boost that they need for gaining the top 4. So, like, in the sense that we don't have poachers like Diogo Costa or Sergio Aguero to bang in like 3 goals and just put the game to rest against any opposition that we can have possibly. We don't
wait for Norwich to finish their playoffs possibly. Norwich is your bogey team; they are not here anymore.
That's for another season. That's for next season. So that's what I'm totally worried about. That poacher spot isn't for Darwin Núñez, and I think he isn't taking that poacher spot himself. We like literally entrust the game in Salah's hands, but Salah isn't finishing. Salah is inefficient and Salah is indecisive, as Class A said here. So who do we entrust the game upon? That's what we are confused about, and I think Klopp is also confused right now.
It's as like of now,
like answer simple. Diogo Jota, simple as that. He's a killer in front of goal, but he's injured. I mean, he was injured for a period of time, and it does take players around 2 to 3 games to get back to their rhythm. Yeah. And it's basically come at a wrong time where Liverpool don't have that luxury to drop points because there's City chasing from behind, then there's Arsenal chasing. So this is one reason why we have dropped quite a few points. So that's that. So let's see what happens. But I have no expectations.
And also, I don't think there's any contribution of goals from the midfield for Liverpool. Like Wijnaldum used to generally come in and score so many goals. Yeah. Like he used to have like late
this season into
the box.
Pretty good.
Yeah,
compared to last season,
it's been Elliott. It's been Elliott
Endo has scored. Maka has scored. Then Elliott, as you said. So these three have chipped in with quite a few goals. So Bosley, he had this stop-start beginning to his career. So he started off well, then got the injury, then again came back, then the injury reoccurred, and then it's been pretty inconsistent for him. But compared to last season where Liverpool were effectively Bagel FC, nothing in the middle. So this season we've had goals from the midfield, but the only thing is we've not taken our chances where we should have.
And you had a lot of chances.
Exactly
the problem. So it's not an overall problem where the team is failing to deliver as a whole, or the chances are not being created. It's just that cutting edge that is missing, and missing where it matters the most. So, like I would agree with what Charlie said. If you had that one player who would just step up in the latter stages of the game, take up the responsibility to put the game to bed, somebody like an Aguero, a Costa, somebody of that sort would mean Liverpool get across the line. Now, I think it's time to move on to the other fellow title race bottlers, if I may. I would say Arsenal are a club much more accustomed to losing winning positions or losing cups than Liverpool. I mean, if it were a race between who has lost more titles that was there to be won, Arsenal would beat Liverpool hands down. And for me, as a Chelsea fan, I don't think it was. I even before the game we were discussing, I did not think it was a win that Arsenal fans were going to expect. I thought Aston Villa had every chances, and I did even predict them to take 2 points of Arsenal when in fact they actually took 3. And there are a few things that come into picture over here. First of all, primarily that Aston Villa are currently being managed by somebody who used to have the reins at Arsenal. It was
Good evening. Good
evening to you as well. So
he was explained why Arsenal are bottlers.
It was again a typical Unai Emery game. So it is fairly predictable at this point what Unai Emery is going to do against a top 4 opposition. He's going to set up his team in a 4-4-2 style with Oli Watkins up front and some fast-pacey winger, either a Bailey or the other guy. Forgot his name. The guy with the cool hairstyle. Diaby came from Leverkusen. So Diaby supplying him, and they were even missing the key player. They did not have Douglas Lewis this time around, but they still went out there with midfield duo of Tielemans and it was Tielemans and again I'm missing the name.
McGinn,
Yeah, McGinn.
McGinn,
McGinn was the one who
McGinn.
put the game to bed against Arsenal, if I remember correctly, in the first round.
Yeah.
So this was their game to the taking. So if Arsenal were to win this match against Aston Villa, considering the fact that Liverpool had already dropped 3 points, the title race would be well within their grasp, in the sense it would be theirs to lose. So if Arsenal had won tonight's game and if they maintained a 100% winning record, irrespective of other results of City and Liverpool, they would be winning a title which have eluded them for a better part of
20
two
years.
decades, I think, right? 20
20
years, yeah,
years.
20 years. It would have been such a sweet time to end that long drought. But in typical Arsenal fashion, they have just dropped off, and we are here celebrating it. I don't think anybody in this panel feel bad for Arsenal. Me especially, I would be very honest. I'm bringing up my fans, fellow friends who are Arsenal fans, but they're not answering my calls, and I'm not slightly surprised. So, Casimiro, I would like you to weigh in. So, fellow United fan, how are we celebrating Arsenal's timely demise? Dare not call it
See,
untimely because we all saw this coming.
the elephant has finally fallen off the tree, which is good to see.
Exactly.
uh,
Exactly.
it was just a matter of time, but no. So Arteta, what he has done this season is like commendable. Like the way the team
Absolutely.
has switched, the team has changed with Declan Rice in the team. Like they know to play dirty, they know to play well, which is not something that they had last season. So
Yeah.
yeah, I didn't expect them to lose today in the fashion that they did. Like they capitulated completely in the second half, which is something which you can associate with them last season, but it was something new for us to see because how they took the game to City in Etihad, you kind of saw that okay, they do have something which you can say like they can become a champion at some point of time. But yeah, given a choice, I as a United fan, like I'm in a very pitiful state right now where like we are nowhere near the title race, we are nowhere near top four race to start with, and I see three teams that I hate at the top, and I have to choose between those three. So I Arsenal is the easiest choice as a United fan because like we all adore Wenger for whatever like adulation we had to what he did to football, but they're purely because of the fandom that Arsenal has. I was like, okay, let's just have City win it, and that is what is going to happen right now by the looks of it. And uh, purely to see what Arsenal did today, it was not surprising because uh, I just felt they were a little again too overconfident in the first half with what they did or how they played. And they underestimated Aston Villa's pace on the counter, to be very honest.
Exactly.
And uh, they just tried to take the game to Aston Villa and overcommitted people again. And it was just easy inroads as soon as the first goal went in. It was just a matter of time Aston Villa scored again because with what Martinez was doing on the pitch, it didn't look like he was going to concede a goal today. So
No,
yeah,
Martinez again had one of his typical games where a big game happens, and then, like somebody said, he suddenly transforms into Gianluigi Buffon, and
Yeah,
yeah,
a very
not forget even Buffon. He transforms to Levi Ashin literally. Like, yeah,
the
well
the
said.
the save that he made before the halftime, I thought that really that was some. I think that goal was considered as already a given by Arsenal fans before he put forward that very famous leg of his to block the shot. And then again, I think what ultimately happened was Arsenal, I would say, was probably familiar with what Unai Emery was going to throw at them. They knew that he was going to line up with two lines of four people each,
four.
defending them. Yeah, four defending them in a mid to low block. But then again, they failed to break them down. I thought Saka had a very good first half, even though it was not directly productive. And I was half worried that, okay, if he continued in the same vein, it might be at some point Villa would crumble. But contrary to what I was expecting, I thought Emery was spot on with his substitutions, especially throwing in a sprinter like Leon Bailey early when Emery knew that Arsenal would chase the win. Now, the thing I think is that if it was not a title winning game, if it was not a title chase, Arsenal might not have pushed so many men forward. But Emery, Aston Villa, they very well knew that Arteta had no other option but to put the men forward because his attack alone wasn't converting the chances that they were getting. So I would say it was more of a case where Emery forced Arteta's hand into pushing all those men forward, and Arteta couldn't really help it. He had to commit those many men forward, and on the break they did really well. I thought Tielemans in particular was unusually good in this match because he, as much as a class player, he's on the ball. He used to have slight tendencies of not being the best of
He's a
workers, or
liability while tracking back.
he,
He's a
he's a
liability while
liability while
tracking.
tracking back. Yes, I was
Yeah.
mincing my words, but you are not. But then, yeah, we both agree on that. But I thought today Tielemans, he put in the shift. He was not there trying to just get on the ball and show his class. So the midfield kept Arsenal at bay. Odegaard, Saka, these guys played excellently. And following upon what Casemiro said, I also admire the job that Arteta has done at Arsenal. He has made them into a proper, solid team who are challenging for the title, but they, I think, are still a few minor tweaks away from ultimately winning the title. And even though they have done incredibly well so far this season, I never really thought they would win the title over either Pool or City, and that seems to be so. Charlie, I remember that you wanted to weigh in on the situation. So, what's your comments
Yeah.
on Arsenal?
So nothing. So unfortunately, I couldn't watch the match. So I was watching the Bayer Leverkusen match, as you all know. But yes, I would like to pose this whether like today, whether Arsenal were weak or whether Aston Villa were strong. Because I would like to reference because
Yeah,
Aston Villa always used to be a sort of a title stopper team. Because a couple of seasons ago, like when Man City won the title, they hit like two goals, the Coutinho goal, if you can all remember.
yeah,
They hit two goals.
yeah.
They hit two goals at the Etihad and tried to stop the title from Man City, and the same scenario happened
They
today
almost
against
did.
Arsenal. They almost did. Again, they also did that against Arsenal today.
Yep.
So whether Arsenal crumbled on their own, or whether Aston Villa were at the top of their game,
I think we
I
haven't
think
conveniently mentioned this because it was not just a case of Aston Villa trying to stop Arsenal's title chase. It is
yeah,
also Aston Villa trying to go for European football, not just
European,
European
yeah,
football, Champions League next season.
Champions League football, yeah,
They
I
have their
I think they
very own
smelled
ambitions.
blood as
motivations to
well.
go there.
They smelled blood today because Spurs lost yesterday, and they thought that okay, this is a
The
better
top
way
four is up
for
for
them to
grabs. Yep.
close the gap here. And
Yep.
not just that, I think Arteta missed a trick by not playing Jorginho in the by starting him. So like he should have started Jorginho in the game today rather than going for Jesus at up front. He should have started like he shouldn't have changed something which was working for him. Should have kept Jorginho on the pitch or started him, and Havertz should have played like a striker, giving them extra legs in the midfield.
It looked like Casemiro that Arteta double guessed himself. He probably went
Yeah.
in with Jesus because he expected not a lot of free chances to fall Arsenal attacks way, given how Aston Villa lines up. So he wanted somebody who hustles and bustles like Jesus up there to feed off the scraps. So I think Jorginho was sacrificed for that. But like you said, he might have been better off if he stuck to his methods that has been working in favor for him. But I would say, if not against Aston Villa, this was sooner or later bound to happen. And next, I think next week Arsenal are playing us in the PL. So I mean, we again, just like Casemiro and United, we have nothing to win, we have nothing to lose. But then it is every much a win if we beat Arsenal next week and end their title hopes for good. So I would say,
I
even
think
if
it's your most important game of the season.
I and yeah, and we have
yeah,
nothing to lose. So that's how
yeah.
bad we are.
No,
But
no, no, no. On a personal level, like I would like you to thrash Arsenal because like the way I like the way you bet United, that was very hard. That was very peaceful and humbling for me. So I would like Chelsea to thrash Arsenal and end them once and for all. Yeah.
I think we were discussing Chelsea thrashing Arsenal via Benoit Badiashile hat trick and a
Yeah.
Caicedo scissor kick in the group a while ago.
That's
As
that's
unlikely.
that's something that would happen in interstellar like parallel universe. Okay, like this
I
is
think
something
I
that
think I think Mudryk scoring the goal against Arsenal would be far more beautiful than anything else. And
Yes,
him,
yeah,
yes, yes.
uh,
No,
exactly.
even
Yeah.
if it's a what do you say a match sealing goal like a 2-0 in the 97th minute or 98th minute when Arsenal are chasing for an equalizer, and then boom, Mudryk runs
Beauty.
and scores a count. Oh my God, that's going to be poetic, and there's going to be a generational head loss on Twitter for sure.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
he
going
removes
to
his shirt and he has he has a saying
No,
saying, "I almost signed for Arsenal,"
forget.
I
No,
mean,
no,
as a
that's too
tribute
much
to
wishful
Wenger.
thinking. That's too much wishful thinking.
no, forget head loss on Twitter. I would like to see the reactions of all the AFTV people, for example.
I
Yeah, let's
swear.
go. It's
I
gonna
swear.
be beautiful. It's
I
gonna be
mean,
beautiful.
this week itself, Expressions is going to cook Robbie on
Yeah,
DR Sports. So that's going to be
exactly.
Yeah,
amazing. But yeah, I would have
big.
loved it even more if Liverpool would have won. But then here we are. So
Aravind, I think
taste of the shine.
Liverpool, they had no passion, there was no vision, there was no aggression, and you are here where you currently are. And Arsenal, like we were discussing, if they had gotten over Aston Villa somehow, I would very much expect them to stumble at some step later in the stages, maybe against Chelsea, maybe against Wolves. They were definitely not going to win this over City or Liverpool. And for now, I think we'll conclude the episode at sweet 30 minutes. And for other big news of the day, this has been in the waiting, but this again calls for celebration for a lot of people across the world, especially in Germany. Bayer Leverkusen have won their title unbeaten in Bundesliga and has ended Bayern's long running monopoly over the title. We'll be doing a Leverkusen special episode in the coming days. So stay tuned, everybody. And Charlie, Aravind, I thank you for both making it here despite the painful circumstances that you have currently found yourselves in. Casimiro, thank you for sharing the joy with me. It was a pleasure, and we'll have you again. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.